Hello, my name is Devin. I also go by Infinite or Prod by Infinite, and today we're going to be making a beat, and it's going to be all from scratch. So we're going to start off with a couple omnisphere sounds. It's going to be a mixture of different banks, like from Mira or just other internet money producers, and then also my boy Aquila on the beat. You know what I mean? We're going to use one of his unreleased kits that's going to be coming out soon, and we're going to get started into it. I'm going to start off with a guitar. I believe that's on this one. I liked how this one was sounding. This one is from the Aquila Vendetta Bank. And we're just gonna basically click some sounds in until we like what we're hearing. So I usually would use my MIDI controller, but for some reason it's not working. Like, oh no. I already did like the MIDI options and tried like scanning it, and it does register, and it was working. Like an hour ago, but apparently it doesn't want to work now. I'm going to do a tutorial. So, I'm just going to start clicking stuff in. It's not how I usually make melodies, but we got to do what we got to do. You know what I mean? Okay, so now we have like a cool like little bass layer for the melody. Now I'm just gonna take this and beef it up and then add some like root notes, maybe a little bit of a top melody. Then we're gonna throw some effects on it and do a little bit more processing so it sounds a little bit more unique and has a little bit of our own touch to it. Okay, so it looks like these plugins are taking a little bit too much CPU than I would like, and it's starting to have that like crackling, popping sound. So I'm just going to export this melody, and then we're going to try throwing the effects on there after. Alright, so once again, it was using too much CPU for my liking. Usually it's not that bad, but I think it's just because I'm recording through OBS and I'm trying to make the beat at the same time, which is why like my CPU going crazy right now. So basically, let me just tell you what I did and why I did it. So Halcyon, it is a saturation plugin. It basically is kind of like I honestly don't know what it does, but I know how to use it, if that makes any type of sense. So basically, the way I use it, if I want things to be a little bit more bright or clear, or I want things to kind of give like a different type of distortion, or if I want to highlight certain frequencies in like a different way than what a regular EQ would do, I would use Halcyon. Um, that was a horrible explanation of it, but I basically just take things and mess around with it until I like how it sounds, and that's like my whole process of making music. It's just like, oh, that sounds cool. Well, let's do that. And that's it. And then next, I use Initial Analog Pro, which is basically just kind of like a tape recording, or it's like a tape machine. It just makes sounds that you have and makes them kind of old and weird and stuff like that. It gives them more character, in my opinion. So I used the tape cassette feature, and then I messed around with the amount because I didn't like how wobbly it was and how detuned the guitar was when I initially put it on. So I kind of tweaked to my liking. Then I also just EQ'd out low end of the melody so I could leave room for the 808s that we're going to be adding later. And then we got this now. Oh, by the way, I'm going to just find other sounds to layer underneath this. Most likely just going to be like a pad, just so it adds more atmosphere and everything like that. So I kind of like the pad that I chose right here. It's very kind of like light, hollow, and I feel like it'd be like a nice accent. It's very subtle as well, because I really want the guitar to be the main point of the beat, well, for the melody at least. But I might change it. I'm gonna export it, throw it in here, mix around with it a little bit, and then if I choose to switch it up, I'll switch it up again. Alright, so I got these two melodies to the point where I would like them. It's kind of like EQ'd and like boosted and cut like some frequencies that so they would mesh well together. Just because I noticed that the guitar had like a lot of like low to mid frequencies, so I kind of boosted the highs a little bit and then like lowered the low to mid, and then with the pad I used that to like boost up where I cut down, if that makes sense. So like it kind of like replaces the frequencies almost. And then I'm just going to go on to another sound. I think I'm going to do a flute. I'm not 100% sure. But knowing me and how I like doing my melodies, I'm probably going to make like a little flute lead. And then we can start going to drums and arrangement. So I ended up finding a flute that it's all right. It's not something I would typically use for a beat, but to be honest, I'm kind of tired of just looking for sounds. So this flute is good enough to the point where it'll do, and I feel like I can just do some processing to it and make it sound good. But quick sauce, if you're using Omnisphere, you could take a sound that's like played out, do sound match, find another sound that's similar, and then do sound match again, and then usually you can find something that's a little bit different than what that played out sound was. So from this one, I went from Lotus flute, which we've heard like a million times, then I went to old school air flute, and then I matched that again, and then that's how I found the raspy air pseudo flute. I chose this one just because usually with my flutes, I like them to be a little bit airy. And that's about it. So now I'm about to export this one, and then we're going to process it again. Okay, now I got the melody to a point where it's good enough to make a beat. Usually, for the lead, I would take a little bit more time in this case, but I don't want this tutorial to be like 30 minutes long. So we're going to take this, consolidate it all into one sample, and then we're going to kind of mess around with it and see if we like any other versions. Then if we do, we're going to do that and then match the individual samples so we can break it out for the arrangement and start finishing the beat. So I didn't really like any of the processing that I did to it or altering, so I'm just going to leave the sample how it is, how I made it, and then we're just going to throw some drums on here. Alright, and now we're going to leave it off here for the rest of the tutorial. I actually changed my mind. We're going to do mixing, mastering, and arrangement in a different video, because with all the recording I did for this, it's going to be a long video from what I can tell. And I don't really want the video to be that long, so we're just going to end it off right here with just how to make the melody, and then you can just like see how I put the drums on there as like a real application of like what the melody can be. And then also I kind of made the melody like simple on purpose, because I wanted to show that it's more about sound selection and just designing the actual like samples that you make, rather than just making crazy blah, blah, like melodies and stuff like that. It's more the sound selection and training your ear. Yeah, and then we just do some drums on it, and we can call it a day now. So if you found any value in this video, please comment it below. Hit a like, subscribe, all that stuff. You already know how I'm coming. I'm going to see you another time with another tutorial. Peace out.